Christmas dinner was supposed to be warm. At least that's what my boyfriend's mom had texted me that morning. "We'll miss you tonight, honey. There's always a seat for you here." Instead, I chose my parents' house. I keep asking myself why. My name is Paula Bell. I'm 30 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the one who fixes things. Wi-Fi, leaking pipes, mysteriously missing payments, feelings too, when the mood gets awkward. Tonight, though, I was the only thing in the room nobody bothered to fix. Our Christmas table looked less like a celebration and more like a corporate brochure. Everything symmetrical, forks aligned like soldiers, candles placed dead center like a logo, platters curated as if we were expecting a Michelin inspector instead of extended relatives who eat too fast and judge too slowly. Mom floated around the table like a wedding planner on her last nerve, checking everyone's plates like they were contracts needing signatures. Dad sat at the head, of course. Glass of wine full, patience empty. He wore his usual expression, permanently disappointed in the world, as if every person at the table had personally underperformed their quarterly goals. And me? I was at the far end, again. Wedged between the toddler booster seat and the cousin who once called me the fixer girl before asking if I could install his ceiling fan for free. My chair might as well have been in a different zip code. It had been like this for years. The seating chart was just a physical version of the family hierarchy. Claire, my sister, had her usual spot 3 seats down from Dad, close enough to bask in his ego like it was central heating. She wore a new silk dress, probably something Dad paid for, and kept talking about their upcoming family ski trip. Their trip. I wasn't invited, obviously, but they talked about it like I had simply forgotten to RSVP. "This chalet has a private sauna and a wine fridge," Claire gushed, waving her champagne flute. "I told Dad it'll be transformational for us this year." She said transformational, like she had a trademark on the word. I'd brought a nice bottle of wine, something Ethan had recommended. His family actually opens the things people bring. Mine doesn't. Dad picked up my bottle, glanced at the label, and set it aside. Then he uncorked something better. I smiled. I'm good at that. Quiet smiles that say I'm fine. Don't worry about me while my stomach ties itself into knots. Just get through the evening, I told myself. Eat, nod, laugh when they laugh. Then you can go home. Maybe call Ethan. Pretend your face doesn't hurt from all the pretending. Soft carols played in the background, but the mood was anything but soft. Every compliment had barbs. Every joke was a critique in disguise. Somewhere between the overcooked ham and the salad Mom kept tossing like it had personally offended her, Dad raised his glass. "To those who've made this year memorable," he said loudly. "To the ones who bring something to the table." The conversation dipped. Forks hovered. For a tiny second, my heart tripped over itself. Maybe this was it. Maybe he'd noticed that I'd paid off the late property taxes last spring. Maybe he knew the HVAC in the house hadn't magically replaced itself. Maybe he'd heard, through some miracle, that I'd turned my one-woman trade business into something real. Dad's eyes swept the table and landed on me. He held my gaze, glass still raised. "You," he said, voice casual, "bring nothing to this table." The room froze. Even Claire's perfectly glossed lips parted. Silence. Thick, stretching, heavy. Dad didn't flinch. He just sipped his wine and started carving the turkey, like he'd commented on the weather. It took me a full second to register his words, long enough for my cheeks to burn and my ears to start ringing. "You bring nothing to this table." Not shouted, not said in anger, just dropped like an obvious fact everyone had always known. I didn't throw my napkin. I didn't smash a plate and scream, "I'm done," like in the movies. I just stood up. Mom glanced up, gave me the tight little smile that meant don't ruin the vibe. Claire was already turning her attention back to her phone, thumb poised above the screen like nothing important had happened. Dad didn't even notice I was on my feet. "Where are you going?" Claire asked, not looking up. "Somewhere my presence isn't optional," I said, and then I walked out. Not from rage, from clarity. Snow crunched under my boots as I walked to my car. The sky was a deep, bitter black, the kind of cold that presses against your ribs from the inside out. I sat in the driver's seat without turning the engine on. No music, no calls, just buzzing. This wasn't about one toast, it never is. It was about years of sitting at a table I helped pay for and being treated like a seat filler. Growing up, I was the quiet one, the girl who unclogged sinks and fixed routers. Claire got applause for breathing. I got, "Can you help with the Wi-Fi?" When I chose trade work over a real degree, Dad had shrugged. "At least you'll have something to fall back on." When I built my own HVAC business, he said, just don't overextend. You're not exactly a CEO. When I paid their property taxes one year without telling them, he said, that's what family is for, like I was a subscription. Now I brought nothing to the table. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Ethan. Ethan. You okay? My mom keeps asking if you want a plate sent over. We've got leftovers for days. I stared at the screen, then locked it again. I couldn't bring myself to answer. Not yet. Not while my hands still smelled like someone else's dinner. Back at my apartment, the air felt different. Not cold from the weather, just empty in a way that felt honest. I tossed my coat over a chair and pulled the unopened wine bottle from my bag. The one I'd brought to dinner, the one that had never made it to the table. It thunked onto my kitchen counter like a metaphor. It should have stung. Instead, it just confirmed what I already knew. I filled the kettle, made tea, then sat at my own table, a cheap wooden thing I'd assembled myself with a screwdriver and a YouTube video. This table had ring marks and scratches. It also had something my parents' table never did, room for me. I opened the Notes app on my phone and typed one word, enough. Then I started listing. Not for drama, not for revenge, for clarity. $400 for Mom's dental bridge, paid in full. She thanked Claire for emotional support. $200 in property taxes when Dad's check was lost in processing. $600 in emergency groceries during the pandemic, delivered to their door. Full HVAC replacement at Claire's condo. She posted it on Instagram with the caption, "Look what Dad did for me." Line after line, I documented every unpaid debt and invisible favor. Then I got to the card. 2 years ago, Dad had asked if I could temporarily add him to my credit card to boost his score after a refinancing hiccup. Just a few weeks, he'd said. I won't even use it, sweetheart. That was 97 weeks ago. I opened my laptop and logged into my banking portal. My hands didn't shake. If anything, they were too steady, like my body was afraid of startling my brain out of this sudden, sharp focus. The credit card dashboard loaded. There it was, charge after charge that wasn't mine. Ski equipment, designer gifts, golf gear, a monthly winery subscription that never came to my apartment, but regularly appeared on Claire's Instagram stories, captioned, Dad spoils me too much. Then I saw the latest transaction, $312.49, ski lift passes. And under that, a pending charge. Luxury chalet booking, my name on the account. Dad's email on the confirmation. Same dates Claire had been bragging about at dinner. No text, no call, no, hey, is this okay? Just entitlement, like the card had been preloaded with my existence for them to swipe. A pop-up appeared when I hovered over the freeze card button. Are you sure you want to freeze this card? All active users will lose access immediately. I clicked yes before my doubt could crawl back in. Next, I pulled up the chalet reservation portal, the one Claire had practically shouted about over ham. This place is so exclusive, she'd said, like she'd handcrafted the bed sheets herself. I searched my email, found the booking, and logged into the account. January 3rd, 7th, luxury ski chalet, paid in full, non-refundable unless canceled within 12 hours. I checked the timestamp. I was still within the window. My cursor hovered over the cancel reservation button. For a split second, I heard Dad's voice in my head. Don't be dramatic, Paula. Then Claire's. You always make everything about you. For the first time in my life, I didn't listen. Click, click, cancel reservation. Refund requested. An electronic chime sounded, and a confirmation email slid into my inbox. A bow on a gift I'd apparently given everyone but myself. It was never about the money. Not really. It was about the principle. They spent my money without respect, and I spent my life waiting for respect that never came. I closed the laptop and leaned back in my chair. Tomorrow was going to be loud. Calls, texts, accusations, guilt. But tonight was quiet. In that quiet, for the first time in years, I didn't feel small or burdensome or invisible. I felt full. Not of food, not of bitterness. Full of clarity. I woke up the next morning to silence so thick it felt staged. No alarm, no responsibilities, just the faint hum of the radiator and the stale peppermint tea still sitting on my nightstand from the night before. For one blissful second, I forgot what happened. Then my phone lit up. Buzz, 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 buzz. I squinted at the screen. 56 missed calls. Dad, 18, Mom, 15, Claire, 21. One from Uncle Ron, who still thinks my name is Bella. Then the text poured in like someone had kicked down a dam. My lock screen looked like it had been struck by lightning. Group chat, the Bell's unread messages, 91. I stared at it for a long moment, watching the notifications stack up like a malfunctioning slot machine. I didn't open anything yet. Let them simmer. I padded to the kitchen, poured myself instant coffee, cheap, bitter, perfect, and finally opened the family group chat. Claire had fired the first shots at 7:45 a.m. Claire, why is Dad's card frozen? We're at the ski shop. Fix it. Then 8:03 a.m. Claire, the chalet is gone. You ruined it. Then a string of angry emojis because Claire communicates like she's diffusing a glitter bomb. Mom chimed in next. Mom, Paula, I'm so disappointed. This trip was for the family. Dad followed with the classic. Dad, call me. Now. This is not how we handle things. You've made a mistake. Uncle Ron added, unhelpfully. Ron, typical. Typical what? I paid their taxes for a year, and he still called me Employee of the Month at Thanksgiving like it was a joke. But none of them mentioned the real issue. They booked a luxury chalet in my name with my card with zero permission. Amazing how selective their memory became when their vacation comfort was at risk. I sipped my coffee and let the warmth spread through my chest. It felt like a tiny rebellion. I scrolled back up. Claire was still sending bursts of messages in separate chats. Claire, fix it right now. We can't rebook. This is literally emotional abuse. I almost choked on my coffee. Emotional abuse? From the same woman who once called me dramatic for crying when Dad told me my business wasn't real work? Sure. I set the phone down and let the chaos marinate. That's when another text appeared, this one from Ethan. Ethan, hey, my mom packed you a plate. Let me know if you want me to bring it by. No pressure. Just, I'm here. My throat tightened unexpectedly. His family didn't ask anything from me that night. They just asked if I wanted a warm meal. I typed a quick, thank you, I will later, then turned back to my phone as it buzzed again. Incoming call. Mom. I let it ring twice before answering. Hello, I said flat. Mom exhaled like she had been holding her breath for hours. You didn't need to go this far, Paula. No hi, no how are you, just straight into reprimanding me? You froze the card and ruined the trip. You always do this when we try to include you. I blinked. Include me? You use my name and money without asking. You never said you minded. I shouldn't have to. You're part of this family. Am I? Silence, tight, defensive, telling. Then Mom used her favorite move, minimizing. You make things harder than they need to be. My jaw tightened. Do you remember the sweater? I asked suddenly. What sweater? The hand-stitched one I made Dad years ago. I spent a week sewing it after work. He wore it once. Claire said it was ugly. 2 days later, it was in the Goodwill box. It was just a sweater, Mom muttered. Right, just a sweater, just a ski trip, just my money, just my boundaries, just my feelings. Everything was just something when it came to me. But he told the neighbors Claire made it, I said softly. Said she spent hours on it. Mom didn't reply. I ended the call without saying goodbye. Not out of anger, out of preservation. Because I knew what came next. At 2:14 p.m., my prediction arrived. Claire posted a photo on Instagram. Her and Dad on the couch from the previous Christmas. Caption. Some people only show up when there's a gift involved. Not us. We're about real love. 100 likes in 10 minutes. I almost laughed. In that photo, I was behind the camera, setting the timer, taking the shot, smiling like an idiot who thought she belonged. At 3:12 p.m., Dad called. This time, I let it go through. Not because I wanted to talk, but because I wanted to hear how he'd spin it. Hello, I said. He didn't waste time. So this is what you do now? No greeting, no reflection, just accusation. Classic. Dad, I said calmly, you booked a chalet with my card. We thought you wouldn't mind. You also said I bring nothing to the table. That was a joke. A joke you made with a carving knife in your hand. He huffed. You've always been sensitive. There it was. The pivot from denial to blame. Do you know how long you've been on my credit card? I asked. Silence. 2 years, Dad, not weeks. Years. Ski gear, subscriptions, vacations, all under my name. You never said stop. You never asked permission. Another silence, longer this time. We supported you too, he finally said. No, I whispered. You tolerated me until I became useful. There it was. The truth I had swallowed for years, finally spoken out loud. We ended the call shortly after that. I sat on the couch as the radiator hissed softly behind me, my coffee long gone cold. Then I opened my notes app and started a new list. Things I will not do anymore. I won't pay bills I didn't agree to. I won't fix things just to keep the peace. I won't respond to guilt disguised as concern. I won't fight for a seat at a table built to exclude me. I won't apologize for growing without them. At 6:23 p.m., Claire uploaded another Instagram story. Dad sitting on the couch, arms crossed, face sour. Caption: He hasn't said a word since this morning. This is what betrayal looks like. Betrayal. From the same man who told me I brought nothing to the table. My phone buzzed again. Dad, you done with your tantrum? Call the bank. I stared at the message, then typed, I am being an adult. I stopped funding children who think they own me. Then I blocked his number. Not out of spite, out of peace. By the next morning, my phone looked like a courtroom exhibit. Overnight, the entire extended family had joined the trial. My trial. When I opened the group chat, The Bells, it had exploded to 247 unread messages. At the top was Uncle Greg, who once borrowed my truck and returned it with a cracked taillight, saying, Greg, I think everyone needs to act like adults here. Classic fake neutrality. Translation. Paula, apologize. Aunt Leanne, the same woman who hadn't texted me since 2019 because I didn't donate to her dog's GoFundMe, added, Leanne, family isn't disposable, sweetheart. The irony made my eye twitch. These people once went to Hawaii and forgot to invite me while I babysat their Pomeranian. Then came the holy grail of passive-aggressive wisdom. Grandma, please don't bring this ugliness into the new year. It's Christmas. I typed out a reply. It was Dad who called me a burden on Christmas, then deleted it. Facts never survive in a family built on fiction. I muted the chat before they burned through the rest of my battery. A few minutes later, my laptop dinged. Instagram notification. I braced myself for Claire's next PR stunt, and oh, she delivered. A 4-slide Instagram story. Beige background, cursive font, influencer aesthetic. The kind people use when they've been caught doing something awful but want to look enlightened. Slide 1. This holiday was supposed to be about connection, not conflict. Slide 2. Not everyone sees how hard Dad works. We just want peace. Slide 3. A filtered photo of Dad and Claire toasting wine, both smiling. Zero context. Slide 4. Let's normalize choosing peace over pettiness. Family first. Her followers flooded the comments. OMG, Claire, you deserve better. Some people are just jealous of your bond. Protect your energy, queen. I set the phone down and stared at my cold coffee. They always managed it. This flip, turning my boundaries into an attack, my silence into hostility, my exhaustion into selfishness. And then, a new notification slid across the screen. One message request. Jamie Bell. I blinked. Jamie, Claire's older brother. The previous family disappointment before they crowned me. He left home at 19 after a blowout fight with Dad over money and respect. We hadn't spoken in nearly 10 years. His message was short. Jamie, saw the stories. Proud of you. Then another. Jamie, you're not crazy. I left for the same reason. Lunch sometime, my treat. I stared at the screen for a long moment, relief and dread tangling in my chest. Finally, someone who understood. We agreed to meet the next day at a small diner on the edge of town. The diner was the kind of place where the booths were cracked vinyl and the coffee tasted like burnt hope. The waitress, Deb, called everyone Hun. Jamie was already there when I arrived, stirring his tea. He stood up and hugged me, a hug without conditions attached. It almost made my throat tighten. You look good, he said. Better, actually. Thanks, I murmured, still alive. He laughed and gestured for me to sit. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then it was like a gear clicked into place. They pulled the same thing on me, he said while unwrapping his sandwich. Maxed out my card. Told me it was family survival, then made it look like I abandoned them when I asked for help. My stomach twisted. Did they ever pay you back? I asked. Jamie looked up. No, but they told Grandma I refused to support the family. I flinched. So when she said ugliness in the group chat, he nodded. She meant you. I sighed and pressed my fingers to my temples. Of course she did. Jamie took a sip of tea and leaned back. You want to know what caused Claire to block me last year? What? She wanted me to co-sign a lease for her new business. Get this, wellness cafe? I said no. A snort escaped before I could stop it. What was it called? Enlightenment? He grinned and slid his phone to me. There she was, Claire, standing in front of a pastel pink storefront with a flower arch. The sign read, Clarity, plant-based coffee and cleansing crystals. I clapped my hand over my mouth to stop from laughing out loud. It flopped in 6 weeks, Jamie said. She blamed me for not manifesting hard enough. We looked at each other and burst into helpless laughter, the kind that hurts but heals at the same time. When the laughter died down, the silence between us softened. Do they know what they lost? I asked quietly. Jamie didn't answer right away. He just looked out the window, then back at me. Not yet, he said, but they're about to. When I got home that evening, something Jamie said kept echoing in my mind. They don't treat you like family. They treat you like infrastructure. I opened my laptop again, went back to my financial links, and checked everything. There it was. I was still paying, every month, the utility bill for the house. It started years ago when Mom called crying because a pipe froze and they couldn't cover both groceries and heating. I said I'd help just this once. This once had somehow turned into forever. I hovered over the cancel auto pay button. A small notification popped up. This payment will stop next billing cycle. Are you sure? For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I clicked yes. I sat back in my chair, letting the weight peel off me like old skin. That night, Ethan called. You don't sound like yourself, he said gently. I don't feel like myself, I admitted. Well, maybe that's good, he said. Maybe you're becoming someone who doesn't let people walk over her. I swallowed hard. Are you upset I wasn't at your family's dinner? No. A pause. I'm upset you keep choosing people who hurt you over people who want you. My throat tightened. I'm trying, I whispered. I know, he said softly. That's why I'm still here. After the call, I sat on the couch with tears threatening but not quite falling. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't regret. It was release. At 9:12 p.m., Jamie texted me a screenshot from Facebook. Claire Bell, some people only notice you when they need something. But when you need them, crickets. 2 likes, one from Grandma, one from Dad. I laughed quietly. The room was clear. The roles were set. The narrative was already spinning. But this time, I wasn't stepping into the defendant's seat. I was walking out of the courthouse. 4 days later, the house went dark. Not metaphorically, literally. I first saw it on Instagram, because of course that's where the Bells broadcast every catastrophe. Claire posted a black screen with dramatic spacing. When life hits you with a plot twist you didn't ask for. Her followers assumed a breakup. OMG, babe, are you okay? He didn't deserve you anyway. Queen men are trash. If only they knew the plot twist wasn't a man. It was the electric company. Then a text came in. Jamie. They just called me. No heat, no lights. Dad thinks it's a city outage. I nearly dropped my coffee. Adrenaline, mixed with a bizarre sense of poetic justice, washed through me. For years, I had silently kept that house warm. Now they were discovering what life looked like without their invisible infrastructure. 3 hours later, the first family call came. Incoming call. Claire. I declined it. She called again and again. On the 5th attempt, I answered. What did you do? She shrieked before I could say hello. There's no power, no heat. Mom is freaking out. Dad is yelling, fix it. I waited until she stopped gasping like a fish. Claire, I said calmly, I didn't take anything. I simply stopped paying for what was never my responsibility. That's the same thing. No, I said. It's actually the opposite. You don't understand, she screeched. We need utilities. Then you should pay for them. That's not fair. I blinked. So using my credit card without permission was fair? That was different. That was... She struggled for words. A gift. I never gave it, I said quietly. She faltered, then went for the nuclear button. You're punishing the entire family. I sighed. No, Claire, I stopped being the family's emergency fund. There's a difference. You're heartless, she spat. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm finally tired. I hung up, not slamming the phone, just setting it free. An hour later, Mom sent a group email titled, Moving Forward as a Family. The subject line alone made me roll my eyes so hard I nearly saw my brain. The email read like a corporate HR memo. From Mom to the Bells. Subject, moving forward as a family. We all want healing. To achieve this, I propose open dialogue with no accusations. No more public shaming via social media. Mutual financial transparency. Everyone contributes. No exceptions. Let's all try to act like a family again. Love, Mom. The message was impressive in its ability to sound like an apology while apologizing for nothing. No mention of Dad using my credit card, Claire hijacking my funds, being told I bring nothing to the table. Decades of me being family infrastructure. Just no more public shaming, and everyone contributes, as if I hadn't been contributing more than all of them combined. So I replied with exactly one sentence. This year, I'm choosing peace over performance. Attached was a screenshot. Account closed. Family expenses balance, $0. Status, permanently deactivated. No explanation, no anger, no novel-length justification. Just closure, literal and metaphorical. That evening, Ethan stopped by unexpectedly with takeout. I brought dinner, he said, holding up a bag of warm food. Real dinner. Not the metaphorical kind with emotional side dishes. I laughed, something I hadn't done in what felt like weeks. We sat on my couch in the glow of soft lamplight, eating noodles from cheap containers. The simplicity felt luxurious. You look lighter, he said gently. I canceled everything, I admitted. Utilities, family expenses, all of it. He nodded, as if he'd been waiting for this. Paula, you don't have to earn your place with me. Or here, or anywhere. I swallowed, emotion catching in my throat. Thank you, I whispered. He didn't push, he didn't lecture, he just stayed. After he left, I looked around my apartment. The mismatched dishes, the secondhand couch, the thrift store lamp. It was mine, all mine, and for the first time it felt enough. I snapped a picture of my tiny table, 1 plate, 1 cup of tea, soft lights, and quiet warmth. No noise, no drama, no performance. I posted it on my own feed with the caption, "Turns out I do bring something to the table, just not yours anymore." It didn't go viral. It didn't spark family wars in the comments. But 3 minutes later, a single notification popped up. Jamie commented, "Best seat in the house." For the first time in years, I felt seen. Not for what I could fix, not for what I could fund, not for what I could provide, just for being Paula Bell. And that finally was enough.